Hey guys, it's Chad from the Teach Better team with the one, the only, the amazing David Schmittou.
Well done.
Sorry, I
Well
messed it up even though we literally just talked about this, and that's okay. But you just hosted an amazing mastery chat, Dave. Thank you so much for taking the time. And the topic was light bulb moments in education, or education isn't a light bulb moment, I think is how you actually said it. Could you go a little bit into the theme of tonight's mastery chat for
yeah,
me?
yeah, absolutely. I think we've all seen those cartoons that originated probably back in like the 1920s, where the cartoon character is trying to figure out how to solve a problem, and it's just sitting there, and all of a sudden, ding, the light bulb just goes off above their head. And for the last 100 years, if we watch those cartoons, we've come to believe that's what learning is like. And unfortunately, sometimes in our schools and in our classrooms, we teach that way and we assess that way, and we're just waiting for that light bulb moment. And I'm a firm believer that sometimes we'll see it when that kid is starting to get it. We'll see those synapses start to connect, but learning is always a process. Just when you think you've got it, there's always more that you can go. That light bulb has a dimmer switch. Yeah. It's like an eternal dimmer switch that can always get brighter and can always be dimmer. So
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. It's about the process. It's about those steps. It's about the never-ending process of being better, of learning more, and all of those amazing things. So we heard a lot of amazing, discussion tonight. What was one thing that stood out to you about the chat, or maybe the responses from the Mastery Chat PLN?
Yeah. So there was a lot of conversation at the beginning of the chat when we were talking about labels. For
yeah,
kids. The conversation went towards grading. And here in my state, oftentimes a label that we throw at a kid is they're proficient or they're not proficient. Or like a teacher for their evaluation, they're either effective or they're not effective. And we use these binary terms, almost like that got it, don't got it, the light bulb's on, the light bulb's off, as opposed to saying, where are they in the journey? And even that conversation about what the it is, and do we have a common definition of it when we're saying they've got it or don't got it? And it was just, I was intrigued by the grading conversation, because that is a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you went there and like the conversation went there. I also kind of was in some side conversations and sidebars about sort of like, I like that you said proficient or not proficient, but also like low kids and high kids, right? And I think it's so much more complex than that. I had a principal who to this day, I remember this quote. He said, your responsibility is to find the genius in every student you have. And it's not going to look the same for every kid. So if you start putting these kids in buckets of like, no, you're a smart kid, you're a kid that needs extra help, you're going to negate a lot of that genius automatically, because you're assuming they can't when they might be able to. Yeah. And you're not giving those opportunities, which that's a huge, huge, huge component. So that was absolutely fantastic.
I want to go a little farther, if that's okay. I think
please.
When we're looking at those labels and those buckets, we shame ourselves for having those labels that demean or undermine. We start talking about at risk or not proficient, or whatever. But I would say that I am a test case for within that spectrum. When I was a child, I was told I was gifted and I was smart, and so I started to believe everything's just going to come so easy to me, and everything it's just who I am. I am gifted, and then adulthood came. Life. Yeah. And there are all these things that I didn't know and I didn't understand, and I had no idea how to fight through it, because, hey, I'm gifted. If something doesn't go right, it's not my fault. It's got to be everybody else's fault because of the label. I started to own the label that was bestowed upon me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually started my teaching career in a gifted classroom. I eventually moved to a regular classroom, I guess you would call it. But I remember one thing that the population, when I worked directly with them on a daily basis, one of the things they struggled most with was struggling.
Right.
Like it's like they'd never come up against something that like made them actually work or actually think or actually have to overcome anything, because things just became naturally easy to them in everyday settings, which can be a disservice. In fact, it's that gifted and those advanced populations that often don't grow the way we want them to in school settings. Right. Because if we're being frank and honest, those are a lot of times the students that are stagnating or just doing what they're supposed to. They're not rocking the boat and they're doing fine. So it's like, so why are we going to push them? But, you know, I know you work with teachers as well. And I know when I work with schools and we see like report card grade and AYP growth and state report card growth for schools, it's not because we focused all our energy on the lowest 10%. It's because we focused our energy on both ends of that spectrum and then shifted the bell curve, you know, to the right. Because when you get growth on both sides of that spectrum and you focus on all of your students as opposed to one subset, that's when you're going to see the most bang for your buck, right? That's when you're going to see the most bang for your energy, which is why things like mastery learning and self-paced learning tend to be more effective because they're hitting all of those things with a single, idea or framework as opposed to, you know, multiple. So if you had one piece of advice for teachers that are, I don't want to say stuck in a rut, but for teachers that are looking for that one, like I love this light bulb idea. And I'm going to come back to that real quick because there are teachers right now watching this or right now in this mastery chat, and they just bought your amazing new book, which is Bold Humility, or they just, you know, went to a new training.
Yeah.
What was that?
Or sitting in their Amazon cart now.
Yeah, exactly. They're expecting like this single moment where they get it and they read it or they go to a training and they do something and everything just changes automatically. Right. And I don't want to like squash that excitement because it's important for it to be there. But what's your message to that teacher about that process, I guess? What is that message you would like everyone to kind of take from this idea or this chat?
Yeah, and I guess I'll talk about myself as an adult learner in this process.
Sure.
One of the things I threw out in the chat tonight was, you know, when I was a classroom teacher, I thought I was nailing it. I thought I was the best teacher ever. I thought I could do no wrong. I look back on it now. I haven't been a classroom teacher for 12, 13 years, and I look back on it now, and wow, I was a mess. There's so much that I didn't know, and one of the things that opened my eyes was I went to a training with Rick Wormley. I don't know how many people have ever seen Rick.
Yeah, he's a huge standards-based grading guy. Yeah.
What Rick Wormley did was he proverbially slapped me across the face. Didn't give me a lot of answers, but made me question every single thing I was doing.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool is sometimes you have to be slapped across the face and question what you're doing before you can go out there and find those answers. You have to realize that there is always that opportunity to grow and improve and think about things differently. And so I dove into everything he had to say, and then I went to the next person. And I'm still learning and still evolving. It's that process where, I go out and I get to travel and speak to a lot of people too, and I do some stuff on standards-based grading, but I'm still in that process of uncovering things as well.
Love it.
You're never going to get it, no matter what book you read, no matter what conference you go to. Use it to continue to light your light bulb, but don't think it's going to be fully illuminated by any one person.
I love that. I love the dimmer switch analogy you made earlier, and just that, like, don't let where it's at right now be the brightest it can get, right? Like there's more room, there's more space. You can continue to grow. Yeah. And I absolutely love that. I also love that your humility and the focus of your book shines through in your personality so well. Like, that's really cool to me on a personal level. So I just think that's really cool.
Thank you.
And speaking of which, I do want to give you a chance. I do want to give you a chance to plug that new project. I know you did just release a book, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds here just to tell everybody about your amazing new project. It's great. I love the message. I love everything about it. It's doing really well. And if you haven't picked up a copy, you should. But I'm going to give you just a second to tell everyone just about that before we get off tonight.
So first of all, let's promo Teach Better. Go get that. This is your show, so Teach Better. Go get that. But you still have a few dollars, or you still have that Amazon gift card burning a hole in your pocket. The book is Bold Humility. The basic premise is kind of what we've been talking about today, that it's what I've discovered is bold humility is really that secret it factor. You know, when we say that person just got it, I don't know what it is. It's when they're confident enough to admit where they excel and where they're strong and where they've got some giftings, but they're also humble enough to say, wow, I'm still in the process in other places. As a school leader, I walked into leadership thinking I was supposed to just be bold all the time. I thought I was supposed to be the guy that had all the answers for everybody. And the reality is everybody knew I didn't have all the answers, but I was putting on a show. It's when you get that balance of being humble, saying I still need to learn some things and I need to lean on other people to help me grow. That's when you can start to make it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, man. So not everyone knows this, but you and I have like sort of been connected for a while.
Yeah.
You're inspiring me in my running journey because I know you do a lot of like marathons and stuff like that. So whether you know it or not, I appreciate that. Whether you realize it that it's there or not.
Your medal collection is far better than mine. I'm just gonna
my daughter's 26.2, my first marathon. I truly appreciate that. So if you do have space in your Amazon cart, make sure you pick up Bold Humility. Of course, I would love if everyone checked out Teach Better, which was just released this week. Jeff Kaplan just said that Bold Humility is in his cart right now, so people are checking it out, which I'm awesome. I think Jeff Kaplan also I just saw an amazing picture of him with his copy of Teach Better. So love that guy. He's a great example of that dimmer switch never ending, always growing, always doing amazing things. So Jeff Kaplan, you're one of my heroes. Dave, I want to thank you so much for the amazing chat tonight. I want to thank you for the amazing work you do, the message that you spread. And I'll let you have a final parting word before we sign off. But that's it for me, and I'll let you close us out if that's okay.
Absolutely. I'll just close it out by saying, don't let the conversation stop here. Just like our learning has to keep growing, this conversation needs to keep going. We're all going to be back next Thursday for Mastery Chat, but there's a lot that we can do in the next 7 days. Go buy some great books, keep learning, keep talking, and just keep the conversation going. I saw a lot of people in the chat tonight that just said, but I'm not in leadership. How do I get this going? You start the conversations. So
absolutely,
cool. Just go start the conversations. Have those conversations. Leave the teacher's lounge and let them go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you next Thursday. And go put those books in your Amazon cart right now. Just so then by next Thursday, maybe you've read them and we can talk more about them and it'll be amazing.
Love it.
Have a good night, everyone.